Hello everybody. It took me a moment now, didn't it? Not quite. I was going through the comments on my last video and reflecting a fair amount about the content of said comments as well as my own thoughts in relation to these videos, but more specifically the progression of these videos and the ways in which they've improved and in others perhaps worsened. And what I came to realize was something that did not come to me so much as a realization per se. Now, what do I mean by that? What I came to realize was that various thoughts that I had been having up to this point that appeared disconnected actually had a lot to do with one another. I figured that perhaps the people that were saying all of these things about me must have some reason. There must be something true in what they're saying. But at the same time that I had that thought, on the other hand, I had another thought that happened to be that a lot of my best videos have been made in the past 2 years and in the past year. And this notion that these two things cannot coexist, I think, is incorrect. Because on the one hand, you have the people that claim that something about my channel needs to change or it needs to go back to how it was before. And then there are the other people that are more aligned with something like what I would say, which is that I have been improving and that my content has also been improving. These things seem contradictory, but they can coexist. Because if I go back through those old videos, there were not even necessarily certain things stylistically that were better about them, but rather an energy that I had that came through in many of those videos, a kind of excitement about certain topics and the world and even just this whole YouTube thing in general. In many of those videos from 5-6 years ago, that was very apparent in how I went about it. And at the same time, it was also very clear that I was not doing this for any specific reason. I was just doing it because I like doing it. I think largely that spirit has remained quite clear. It comes through in my videos. But at the same time, I think it's something that I need to hone in on. I need to embody it more. And that's something that can be trained. That's something that can be focused on. But moreover, I also think in those videos there was a kind of coherent project that they belonged to. I was focusing on trying to create this very authentic diary that brought together all of these like neat depression aesthetics and all the rest. And I think people identified with that because they happened to feel the same way at the time. And they happened to find content that focused on those things, and they saw themselves in it. What's interesting to me about that is I don't think I ever stopped talking about those topics. I think I became less depressed, but I continued to talk about those topics, albeit in different ways. I focused on my disconnection with other people, but from a more philosophical and analytical perspective, and I also got a lot more mad about it than I have in the past. Now, of course, angry rants, that's something I've always done. Impassioned, vulnerable rants where I expose myself emotionally to all of the internet. These are very normal occurrences on this channel, but I would like to think, and I think if you analyze the specific ways that I'm explaining things, the fact that to explain the same idea, it now takes me less time than it used to. You can see these improvements in my ability to articulate the concepts. And I was left feeling a bit puzzled about all of this, trying to figure it out. It's inevitable that you will not please everyone, and that ultimately YouTube will be full of bizarre, strange, obsessed people who behave in very uncanny ways, to say the least. But the majority of people who come to these videos, who follow these videos, happen to be interested in the conversation that I am trying to have, in the conversation about society, about lifestyles, about, at times, morality and hobbies and routines and all the rest. Mental health. These things continue to be discussed on these videos. And if my goal is to have discussions and to provide a space where those discussions can be had, if my goal is to improve my ability to articulate my own thoughts on these issues, then that has been going on. Like, we've been doing that back and forth this whole time. And moreover, if my goal is to express the things that I feel the need to get out somewhere, onto something, to someone, I continue to do that. And I continue to do that with more people that are willing to listen than at any other point. And so what's going on here? You know, like there was something Meant. Now, I've mentioned his channel a couple times. Meant the Denpa. There was something Meant had said on the board where he had said that he actually liked the direction that my channel has been going in, as opposed to previous eras, because it feels more down to earth. And I really liked what he happened to say there, because that's been my goal. My goal has been to have a conversation. I think in some of my older videos there was more of a focus on aesthetics or abstractions, or trying to like project a certain atmosphere or something. And many of these videos today happen to just function as discussions. Is that I put the ideas out there, the people in the comments respond to those ideas with their own ideas, and then I respond to them, and then other people in the comment section respond to them, and then a discussion is had, similar to what used to exist on forums. And I think that's incredibly powerful. I think that's incredibly good. It's what I wanted to exist on this channel. And at the same time, I wanted to express many of these more authentic things, albeit in a more measured way, in a way that gets across what I'm thinking and feeling better. You know, I think in the past, a lot of the videos felt a lot more impulsive. You know, maybe there was some emotional resonance to them because it was very clear that I was going through something, and I was trying to articulate that on the fly, or I was regurgitating a bunch of thoughts that I had in the background at many different points, ruminating on and refining, but were then, you know, being regurgitated in a burst of emotional fervor. And maybe those videos were good for some people. Maybe some people resonated with them. I don't really do videos like that anymore. You could almost call that content like lolcow-esque or something. It seemed to be a type of video I made a lot at one point, right? And I I don't think that's necessary for me, or for anybody really. I used to like that kind of content a lot more than I do now. I don't really watch that kind of content anymore. I'm more interested in just having a conversation. I saw one person refer to the types of videos that I make now as a type of artistic stagnation that's been going on for years. I find that characterization interesting because I don't really even see this as art per se. I guess you could say that it is in the sense that everything is, or something along those lines, but I see it more as an attempt to express what I have on my mind, as has also been the case with all of the other attempts that I've made at expressing something on my mind as the years have gone on. That's what this channel has always been. And it is apparent to me that I have improved. There is still a lot of room to improve. I can become more concise. I can perhaps use better metaphors, or make better comparisons, or provide better examples. There are always going to be things that you can improve on. But overall, I would say that I have substantially improved over the years in terms of being able to express my ideas. And if that's the only goal that I have had, then perhaps I was being judged based on what somebody else wanted out of my content, a goal that somebody else had for my videos, irrespective of the goals that I come to these videos with. And that happens, right? You know, people want what they want out of a YouTube video. They don't want the best version of what the author of said video wants. And so that's also important to keep in mind. It's that people will have criticisms. People will have thoughts on the things you do that are contrary to your own, but many of those thoughts and many of those criticisms are simply the sum total of whatever preferences they went into that video with, whatever expectations they went into that video with. You know, much in the same way that Shinji Ikari had to realize that the Shinji that exists in his mind is the same that exists in Asuka's mind and in Misato's mind. I'm having to realize the same thing. I'm having to realize that there is this discrepancy that exists between how I conceive of what I do and how I conceive of myself, and how I am conceived of by the rest of the world, and also the way that the things I make are conceived by those people. And that's a strange dynamic. It's the strange situation called life, called interacting with society, although I don't know how much we could call this interacting with society, because this is all sort of disconnected. There's a layer of abstraction between you and me right now, and I blame Google for that. I blame YouTube for that, but it is what it is. Perhaps the solution is creating my own website, but we're not there yet, guys. Let's see what happens. But I do think that I had a Manhara moment, as some might say. I wound up overthinking certain things and not thinking enough about other things, and you end up with the conclusions that I came to in that video. I guess not so much conclusions anymore, because I have now come to a different point of view. With that being said, I do, and I'm going to echo a video I made several months ago now, for those of you remember, I do want to do something different, or rather, something needs to change. Something needs to change. And what I mean by that is, on this channel, there is kind of a format, I guess. The format is that I just talk about a thing. And some people really like that format. I happen to really like that format. Others are going to get tired of it, inevitably. But there is a type of video I want to make that I have sort of made before, not really. For the most part, I've never made this type of video. There are some elements of it in other videos. But I want to make a type of video that is almost entirely visual. Particularly when I go out into the world and I'm actually not in this room, I'm in other places. What I want to do is just film like little clips of all the most interesting stuff and then like edit them together in a way where the clips have a flow, like to where they feel like they're all like flowing into one another very coherently, and in a way that like gives you like a feeling of movement. I want to make beautiful imagery, or to capture beautiful imagery that's in the world, and then tie that to like, maybe there would be text on the video that you could read at different moments. Maybe like I would edit out frames of anime and then like put it over certain like real life scenes that I've recorded, and then put music underneath all of that, like instrumental music, and you kind of read like the diary entries on the video. I have like a lot of images of this in my mind, especially because I'm really into like different types of cameras. I have a bunch of cameras, although now I'm selling them, unfortunately, most of them. But I have a lot of different types of audio-visual equipment that I can employ in the creation of these videos. And there's something there. There's something there that I have yet to do, but it's coming down the pike. I've been kind of hush-hush about the whole thing because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to be like one of those people that says they're going to do one thing and then you see something totally different happen, or you just see it never happen. So for that reason, I don't like to talk about projects. However, there have also been projects that I've talked about on this channel as I was starting them or as I was doing them, and I went on to complete, or maybe not so much complete, but continue to work on them because I am still working on them every day. So maybe there's something there as well. We'll have to see what happens. But it is a type of video that I continue to be obsessed with, and I continue to think about. I keep all these images flowing around in my head. I want to make them real. I want to make them into reality. And I've yet to do that. So there's something there. In general, I do want to be less of a personality. I want to talk about things that are relevant to me, but for a while now, I have deliberately avoided a lot of topics related to my personal life, and that's been a deliberate choice. These days, I talk about other things. I've really been feeling like an extraterrestrial as of late. I might talk about that. I've been feeling very alienated from the world. I also have like a 1 hour and 22-minute video just sitting on my phone. Maybe I could post that if anybody would be interested. I don't know how good it is, to be honest, but there's something. Either way, I did come to a different conclusion after looking at what those people had to say and consulting myself for a while. I do think that I want to be more low-key on YouTube, just posting less than I used to. Again, you know, being down to earth, but less personal details. And I want to continue trying to refine my ability to articulate these things that we discuss on this channel, and I want to improve the quality of the discussion in the comment sections, and the nature of the conversation that we're having in general. But that's pretty much everything. I appreciate everybody for the words of encouragement that they left on that video, and I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, but again, slower and more deliberate, and there will be videos of a different type coming down the lane. Although, you know, I mentioned that I haven't really done the type of video I'm talking about. I guess overall I haven't, but there is one video that's kind of like what I'm talking about, which was Toronto hit clips, where I just took, you know, little pieces of footage and I put them all together, and some of that footage looked pretty iconic, but that video is not as like film-esque as what I'm talking about, because what I'm talking about is something with a higher degree of effort in that video than that video. That video was just a compilation of stuff I thought that looked good without like really me really thinking about how it was edited or what I was shooting or whatever. I was just like, I have some clips, so I'm going to put this out there. It's similar to what I'm talking about wanting to do, in the sense that there's no commentary, there's no vlog element, but I want to tell stories that are visual stories, you know, and that video is not a story, it's just clips. I guess if you want to get really abstract and granular with it, you could call it a type of story, but again, I'm talking about something much more deliberate. But anyway, I think that's just about everything. I've been circling the wagon for a moment here, trying to figure out if I should release this or if I should go along with what I said I would do before. But even in the context of that video, I said something along the lines of, you know, guys, I don't know if this is all forever. I don't know if or when I'm going to come back, but I'll probably come back just with something different. Well, this is more of the same for now. You'll see what different looks like, and you'll see if I take another month off of YouTube, which is honestly very likely, or perhaps even longer. We'll have to see what happens. But again, I appreciate once again all the kind remarks that everybody left for me. I found them deeply encouraging and also quite moving. Thank you.